Bonjour, hello, ulakut y buenos días. Je suis très heureuse de vous accueillir à la toute première cérémonie en l'honneur des prix canadiennes pour les femmes, la paix et la sécurité. Je suis l'ambassadrice Jacqueline O'Neill, and I'm joining you from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. So far too often, when this community gathers, we focus on crises and complex, painful problems. But today is different. Today we honor and we celebrate and we find joy and inspiration in the beauty and the vision of our friends and our colleagues' work. Now, I know not everyone associates joy with a Zoom session, but again, today is special. Nous entendrons de la part des femmes bâtisseuses de la paix. Nous entendrons non pas un, mais deux ministres canadiens et du président du remarquable Centre de recherche pour le développement international. So everyone joining today knows all too well that women peace builders are often targets of threats and violence. And so with their security in mind, we've invited to this live ceremony only a select group of special allies and champions. And unfortunately, we've had to disable any interactive functions for this moment. But we will post the whole event online soon for the rest of the world. And we do ask you to post or tweet anytime. Everyone featured today is comfortable being recognized publicly. So please use the hashtags on the slide, Peace by Her, Paix au Féminin, and help us celebrate and bring recognition. Finalement, nous avons des services d'interprétation en langue des signes américaine, en anglais, en français, en inuktitut, en russe et en espagnol. Alors, sans plus tarder, j'ai l'honneur de vous présenter notre hôte, la ministre des Affaires étrangères du Canada, qui est elle-même une femme baptiseuse de la paix, l'honorable Mélanie Joly. Madame la ministre.
Merci, Jackie. Bonjour tout le monde. C'est vraiment merveilleux de participer à la toute première cérémonie de remise des prix Femmes, paix et sécurité et de célébrer des personnes aussi exceptionnelles. Le Canada a été un fervent partisan de l'agenda Femmes, paix et sécurité depuis le début et on va continuer notre travail jusqu'à ce que les femmes soient représentées de manière égale dans toutes les questions de paix et sécurité. Pourquoi? Bien, c'est simple, parce que les femmes ont le droit à une participation pleine, égale et significative à toutes les prises de décision. Et parce que les femmes sont essentielles à la construction d'une paix inclusive et durable. On sait déjà que les femmes sont de puissants agents du changement. Mais les femmes se heurtent aussi encore à beaucoup trop d'obstacles. Nous allons parler de certains de ces obstacles ensemble aujourd'hui et nous allons entendre des femmes qui les surmontent. Alors, je suis franchement très ravie d'être rejointe par mon collègue que j'estime beaucoup, que j'aime beaucoup, que je considère un ami, Mark Miller. Oui, Marc, c'est toi. Et aussi le président Jean Lebel. Bonjour, Jean. Merci d'être avec nous pour nous donner le coup d'envoi. Alors, notre thème cette année est les femmes bâtisseuses de paix. Et pour ce travail, pour leur contribution essentielle à la paix et à la sécurité au Canada, dans le monde entier, les femmes méritent d'être reconnues. Alors, nous sommes impatients d'entendre ces femmes exceptionnelles et d'affirmer la nature extrêmement importante, voire vitale, de leur travail. Merci.
Merci, Madame la ministre, exactement. Et je pourrais dire peut-être qu'on voit clair à quel point ce travail vous passionne. Alors, merci. We look forward to hearing from you later this hour, but for now, let's welcome a long-standing and wonderfully enthusiastic champion of women's rights and inclusion, the president of the IDRC, Dr. Jean Lebel.
Merci, Jackie. Merci, Madame la Ministre Joly, Minister Miller, Ambassador O'Neill, distinguished guest. It is a pleasure to be here in this virtual environment. Le Centre de recherche pour le développement international, le CRDI, est fier de faire partie des efforts déployés par le Canada dans le domaine des affaires étrangères et du développement, en travaillant aux côtés des régions en développement pour favoriser le changement mondial. Et nous sommes très fiers d'appuyer cet important programme qui reconnaît le formidable leadership des femmes qui œuvrent à la consolidation de la paix. The award's program goal of strengthening the implementation of women, peace, and security agenda aligns with Government of Canada's commitment to Canada's National Action Plan on Women, Peace, and Security. The program is also core to IDRC's history of funding research that generate inclusive and sustainable solutions to critical global challenges. Grâce à ces prix, nous encourageons une plus grande sensibilisation et une meilleure compréhension des rôles importants que jouent les femmes dans la désescalade et la résolution des conflits et dans la contribution à une paix durable. C'est un grand plaisir pour moi et pour le CRD et nous tous de vous présenter les lauréates des prix de la recherche sur les femmes, la paix et la sécurité de 2021 du CRDI. Le premier prix récompense les travaux menés en Syrie et au Yémen par deux lauréates qui étudient les répercussions de la pandémie sur les femmes chargées de la consolidation de la paix et les stratégies qu'elles utilisent pour contrer les menaces numériques croissantes pour leur sécurité et leurs efforts visant à contrôler leur activisme. Les deux lauréates sont Afsa Afalal et Mousna Derid. Afsa et Mona sont avec nous à l'écran, je crois. Bienvenue. Afsa est une travailleuse humanitaire avec une expérience dans la formation, la recherche, l'évaluation et la gestion de projets au Moyen-Orient. Elle nous parle aujourd'hui d'Istanbul en Turquie. Elle détient un doctorat en sciences sociales de l'Université Rovira et Virgili en Espagne. Mousna est la fondatrice de Women Refugees Not Captives, une campagne visant à mettre fin au mariage forcé et au mariage d'enfants des femmes et des filles réfugiées syriennes. Elle est candidate à la maîtrise en politique publique et en administration publique à l'Université Concordia, ici même à Montréal, au Canada. Alors, félicitations Afsa et Mousna. Vous faites un travail remarquable, extrêmement important, dans des conditions extrêmement difficiles au Yémen et en Syrie, des pays en situation de conflit grave. Vous travaillez avec des femmes sur place et à l'extérieur du pays. Dites-nous quelques mots à nous, notre auditoire ici, sur l'importance de cette recherche pour la paix et la sécurité des femmes. Afsa, je commencerai avec vous, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur Lebel. Madame la ministre, Monsieur le ministre, Madame l'ambassadrice, Monsieur le Président, chers invités. Tout d'abord, nous souhaitons remercier le CDRI pour cette opportunité. C'est un grand honneur pour nous de contribuer à mettre en lumière les défis auxquels font face les défenseuses des droits humains, les activistes et les femmes constructrices de la paix dans la région MENA. Nous pensons que la recherche dans ce domaine aide à examiner la manière dont les normes sociales et les structures de pouvoir impactent leur vie. Dans la région MENA, et plus particulièrement au Yémen et en Syrie, les femmes jouent un rôle vital dans la construction de la paix, et ce, malgré les difficultés et l'oppression auxquelles elles se heurtent. Non seulement font-elles face à l'intersection de l'oppression de la société patriarcale et des violences basées sur le genre en liaison avec le conflit lui-même, et ce, par différentes parties bien évidemment, mais elles sont en plus exposées aux violences en ligne comme la diffamation, la diffusion de fausses informations, les campagnes de harcèlement qu'elles subissent, ainsi que les outils de surveillance numérique qui visent à les cibler et à cibler leur travail. Tandis que la liberté d'Internet continue à être restreinte et perpétuellement attaquée dans la région MENA, les autorités se sont servies de la pandémie comme prétexte pour continuer l'application de politiques répressives. Ainsi, la pandémie a suscité des défis supplémentaires à ces femmes. Donc, basée sur une méthodologie mixte, notre recherche aujourd'hui vise à comprendre l'impact de la pandémie sur la sécurité, le progrès et l'engagement des défenseuses des droits humains, des activistes et des femmes constructrices de la paix, concrètement au Yémen et en Syrie. Elle vise aussi à étudier l'efficacité des mécanismes de protection et les mécanismes d'ajustement visant à contribuer au renforcement de leur participation et engagement dans ce contexte. Lors de notre travail de terrain, nous avons rencontré Amina, nous avons rencontré Karima, Lamis et d'autres femmes. Elles ont toutes partagé des récits des violences en ligne et hors ligne aussi, auxquelles elles ont été soumises, ainsi que les bonnes pratiques qu'elles ont identifiées. Pour l'heure, plusieurs de ces femmes demeurent menacées et vivent dans l'attente de recevoir du soutien et surtout plus de solidarité. C'est pour cette raison, nous visons à travers cette recherche à établir des fondements en vue d'élaborer des recommandations pour les différentes parties prenantes à l'égard des voies de recours efficaces pour l'appui de ces braves femmes en Syrie et au Yémen. Thank you very much, and I will now give the floor to my colleague Mousna.
Thanks, Hafsa. Thanks, Mr. Lobel, Ministre Joly, Ministre Mark Miller, and Ambassador O'Donnell. So COVID puts challenges on women peace builders and women rights defenders worldwide, especially in Syria and Yemen, and even in the diasporas. These women continue to face multiple forms of unequal battles against oppression, living within conflict and complex context, fighting patriarchy on all levels while lacking proper protection, as they continue to insist on reoccupying the online and offline spaces and refuse to bow to systematic misogyny, systematic cyber attacks, smear campaigns, censorship, disinformation, and harassment that aim to silence them. According to the initial findings of our research, some women have been silenced and ceased their work, like Riham. Others, like Noura and Rasha, decided to resist and to continue working despite the limited resources, while international law and the international community are still reluctant to recognize these violence and to protect survivors from cybercrimes by providing meaningful solutions. Supporting women peace builders in conflict countries by providing funding, emergency support, fast-track response, and urgent relocation through safe and legal channels are some of the recommendations that we heard while conducting field research and interviews. It's a pressing issue to modernize the international law and to recognize cyber violence as a cause of forced displacement for women peace builders and a real threat to their lives. This would contribute to putting an end to impunity and holding cyber criminals accountable through different channels of international and domestic laws. Between hope and despair, our research pays tribute to local and international initiatives that are trying to offer awareness and to protection to women peace builders. As never before, protecting women peace builders and women rights defenders is a collective responsibility that shouldn't be ignored or postponed. Our interviewees ask for more commitments and pledges to protect them in online and offline spaces. I hope we leave this session today with the new pledges for them. Finally, we acknowledge that the findings of our research are not limited to Yemen and Syria, but it could be useful to extend them to other contexts in active conflict countries or in peace settings countries, such as Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Libya, Afghanistan, Ukraine, and others. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Afsa and Musna. You are providing us with an illustration of how you translate the voice of women in the field into action and into potential for change in policy. A remarkable piece of work that we're all proud of. I wish you all the best in the continuation of this work, and all the best also to the people of Yemen and Syria as they are struggling in very difficult contexts, particularly women. It's remarkable. Thank you very much for this clear enunciation of the work that you're conducting. Let's move to our second award. The second award focuses on generating a better understanding of the work of Iraqi women parliamentarians and civil society leaders and their contribution to peace building and reconciliation. The research looks at women peace building efforts at the local level and across the urban-rural divide. The award recipient is Marcin Al-Shamari. Marcin, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Marcin is a researcher based in Baghdad, Iraq. She has extensive fieldwork experience. She has a strong record of research on hierarchy, civil society, and hold a PhD in political science from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in the United States. Congratulations, Marcin. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for telling us the story about how women's contribution in political and civil society space that they are into in Iraq is contributing to a positive and inspiring trend that you are witnessing. A society that has been in turmoil, a society that is trying to build back fundamental democratic resilience, and your action in witnessing it, investigating it. Marcin, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Merci, President Lebel, for the introduction and for your support. Merci, Ministers Joly and Miller and Ambassador O'Neill for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you very much for the honor of this award and the honor of presenting my research here today. I'm a research fellow with the Harvard Kennedy School, and I'm currently in Baghdad, Iraq, researching with the help of the IDRC, female parliamentarians in Iraq and civil society activists, and how they view their role in peace building, as well as how they view peace building initiatives in Iraq overall. I'm conducting this research through a mix of statistical analysis of parliamentary candidates over time, as well as through interviews with female activists and parliamentarians. As you know, it's been nearly 20 years since the US-led invasion and regime change in Iraq. The post-2003 government was designed to be democratic and to be representative of Iraq's various ethno-religious groups. It was also designed to have a 25% quota in place for female parliamentarians. There's been significant debate in recent years about the utility of a quota and of its potential to be abused by enterprising political actors. Iraqi women, too, have conflicting views of the usefulness of the quota. In October, Iraq held its sixth parliamentary election with a new electoral law. These elections were held early and under election day monitoring from the United Nations and electoral observation missions from various embassies, including Canada. Although the elections had the lowest turnout in history, unfortunately, their execution and integrity was a significant improvement on previous elections. The election results brought new political parties into the scene, as well as new independent candidates who promised reform. The elections also brought down previously entrenched parties and stripped them of legislative power. One of the highlights of the election was the fact that female parliamentarians were winning seats without even needing to resort to the quota. In fact, if you walked, as I did, around Baghdad in those warm days of late September, you'd see so many advertisements for female parliamentarians or female candidates running for office across various districts. Iraqi women are becoming more involved in politics, but the question for me is, does this development herald good news for Iraqi women's rights? Does it herald good news for reform? And I'm trying to uncover this through my research. My research is not yet concluded, but I've discovered that there are many young women who ran for the first time with the reformist agenda in the elections and who came very close to winning. These women have energy, passion, and dedication to grassroots campaigning. But sadly, my interviews also revealed that they have very little working knowledge of how to formulate public policy, particularly when it comes to economics. I hope that my research can convince the international community and countries with parliamentary systems like Canada to help promote reform and democratization in Iraq through training and mentorship for many young female candidates and activists who are interested in politics. I know that Ottawa has provided training for Iraqi female members of parliament in the past, and I hope this will be extended to female activists who are new to the political arena. I believe in working through existing institutions like elections, flawed as they may be, and seeking to reform and promote good governance from within. These young women are an investment in Iraq's democratic, safe, and prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marcin. What a fantastic story, moving from a war-torn society to the seas of democracy and now having women playing a full role, but you investigating further and seeing what are the limiting factors and what can be done to improve the situation. Minister Joly, Minister Miller, Ambassador O'Neill, at IDRC, we like to say, we build the platform, our researcher delivers the keynotes. This is what we have done today. What a fantastic story for our country to show how research makes a difference in life and livelihood of women in the field through sound research that provide practical example of what can be done and what is done in order to improve the goods of everyone in those countries, and that reflects extremely well on our own country. Merci beaucoup à vous trois, mesdames. Ça a été remarquable. Merci beaucoup, Jackie, de m'avoir permis de prendre la parole. Minister Joly, Minister Miller, thank you very much for your support. Back to you, Jacqueline.
Merci, Dr. Lebel, and those were wonderful keynotes indeed. Félicitations encore, Haspa, Mousna et Marcine, vous êtes toutes magnifiques. Alors, on ne peut pas nier que les concepts de l'agenda femmes, paix et sécurité sont aussi pertinents ici à la maison, au Canada, qu'à l'étranger. Et nous avons la chance d'avoir parmi nous un autre ministre qui non seulement comprend ce lien, mais qui travaille tous les jours pour en faire une réalité. Alors, souhaitons maintenant la bienvenue au ministre pour les Relations couronnes autochtones, et aussi on vient d'apprendre l'ami de la ministre Joly, l'honorable Mark Miller.
Thank you, Ambassador O'Neill. Merci, Mélanie, pour tes bons mots. I want to start as Ambassador O'Neill did by acknowledging that I'm speaking to you today here from Ottawa from the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. It's a pleasure and honor to present the inaugural Civil Society Leadership Award today to such deserving candidates. There are many here in Canada who have worked to advance women, peace, and security. Before turning to the winner, I would like to highlight the shortlisted candidates and acknowledge their really hard work. Sarah Wolf has made an outstanding contribution to Indigenous peoples in Canada by working more than 2 decades, primarily in the area of sexual and reproductive health. Notably, Ms. Wolf was the founder and managing director of the 7th Generation Midwives Toronto. She also co-led the development and implementation of the Toronto Birth Centre, Canada's first mainstream healthcare facility to use Indigenous governance and leadership framework, and she's the director of the Indigenous Innovative Initiative through Grand Challenges Canada. Dr. Sarah Fennell is a First Nations family physician and public health specialist. Sarah is on the board of directors of both Indigenous Physicians Association of Canada and the board of directors of the College of Family Physicians of Canada. She's co-chair of the Indigenous Health Committee at CFPC and also sits on the Indigenous Health Advisory Committee at the Royal College. Sarah is currently working with both colleges to improve Indigenous health curriculum in all residency program, with much work to do in this country. Madame Raida Hassan est une représentation vivante de l'esprit de résilience face à la violence. Elle est la fondatrice et la directrice du réseau des praticiens du Canada pour la prévention de la radicalisation et l'extrémisme violent. Elle est aussi co-titulaire de la chaire de l'UNESCO en prévention de la radicalisation et l'extrémisme violent, une première mondiale qui a contribué à étendre la voix de Mme Hassan au-delà des frontières du Canada. Merci à vous tous pour vos contributions aux femmes, à la paix et à la sécurité au Canada et dans vos communautés. And also a reminder that peace building is something that we need to be doing in Canada, in our own backyards. Now, I'm pleased to present the inaugural Civil Society Leadership Award to Pauktutit Inuit Women of Canada, an organization that has dedicated over 38 years to helping Inuit women reach their full potential in safe, peaceful communities. I've seen firsthand the truth of what Pauktutit President Rebecca Hudlu says: when Inuit women are unified to bring positive change, all Inuit benefit. Thanks to President Hudlu and Pauktutit's work, Canada is engaging with Inuit women and listening to their ideas and solutions to the challenges that Inuit communities face. Much progress has been made over the last few years, including the signing of a historic memorandum of understanding between the Government of Canada and Pauktutit Inuit Women of Canada that provides the foundation for moving forward on reconciliation and addressing issues that directly affect the well-being of rights and safety of Inuit women and children across Canada, within and outside Inuit Nunangat. We need organizations like Pauktutit to take these important steps with us. We count on them to guide us on the right way forward. We can't do our work without them, to health and healing and a better life for Inuit women and children. This award is especially timing, excuse me, is especially timely as President Hulu nears the end of her final term with Pauktutit, but I know this won't be the last we hear of. I hope it isn't, because I know her dedication and her personal involvement in the matter. And in the limited time I've had the honor of being a minister, the interaction with President Hulu has been an extreme learning experience for me. But also I've seen the work that she's been able to achieve, most notably in securing shelters, both within Inuit Nunangat and here in Ottawa. That work remains to be done, but the commitment of the Government of Canada is firm. And I would dare to say, I know it's a team sport, but without Rebecca's direct contribution, this would certainly have taken a longer time to achieve. I want to, before passing it over to President Kulu, I want to highlight as well the work that our translator Maggie is doing, translating this into Inuktitut in a language that was on this land well before the language I am speaking was. And I want to highlight her work and thanks for this as well. President Kulu, I can't think of a more meaningful way to recognize the incredible work that you and Pauktutit Women of Canada have done and accomplished. It is really an honor to give you this award. Thank you, Nakumik.
President Kulu, you're muted.
Thank you, merci, Minister Miller. I'm honored to join you from Baker Lake, Nunavut, where it is minus 56 degrees today with the windshield, to accept the Women, Peace and Security Civil Society Leadership Award on behalf of former and current board members and staff of Pauktutit. I also accept this award on behalf of Inuit women and gender diverse people across the 4 regions of Inuit Nunangat, Nunavut, Inuvialuit, Nunavik, and Nunatsiavut, as well as those who live in the South. Congratulations to the other award recipients and finalists. Pauktutit is honored to be in your company. For almost 40 years, Pauktutit has worked to address the gaping inequalities and systemic discrimination faced by Inuit women in the areas of healthcare, food insecurity, and economic opportunity. Pauktutit has also worked to improve the personal safety of Inuit women who experience gender-based violence at a rate of 13 times higher than the other women in Canada. Today's award is important recognition that there is still much work to do to protect and promote the human rights of Inuit women and gender diverse people, and that the leadership of Inuit women is imperative to achieving progress. I would like to highlight that Pauktutit's work is sustained and enhanced in 3 ways: by collaboration with Inuit partners, by strong allies in other Indigenous and non-Indigenous organizations, and by the partnership of government leaders and departmental officials in departments such as CERNAC, ISK, and WAGE. In the coming months and years, Pauktutit will build on the momentum we have collectively established to elevate Inuit women's voices and empower Inuit women's leadership at all the decision-making tables, from municipal councils to federal, provincial, territorial governments and land claims organizations. Hoyan Namik, thank you.
Go ahead, Minister Miller. I think we have you up next again.
Yes, thank you. I'm just doing the inevitable politician blunder of not being able to find the unmute button, so apologies. Again, President Kulu, congratulations. I have a few questions for you, and I'm sure you'll have the answers. The first one is a general one on the implementation of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, an act that we passed earlier on this year, as well as a very important federal pathway plan and the work that you contributed in the MMIWG Inuit Action Plan. These are historic opportunities to ensure Inuit women, girls, gender diverse people enjoy the same quality of life and standards and outcomes as other Canadians, a very basic premise. And however, for these opportunities to be realized, and you addressed this in your speech, Inuit women must be valued and be equal partners in the operationalization and monitoring of the UNDRIP legislation, as well as the implementation of the Inuit Action Plan. What concrete actions that do you feel the government needs to take to ensure that your people, as well as First Nations and Métis women, are full equal partners in implementation, both of UNDRIP and the MMIWG National Action Plan?
I think the fact that we have a memorandum of understanding signed between the Government of Canada and PAUC in 2017, and more recently confirmation of sustained operational funding is a critical step to go forward. It is critical to increasing PAUC's capacity to undertake strong advocacy work, both in policy and programs areas in a wide range of issues. It is critical to engage with upwards of 100 Inuit government and civil society partners and allies to advance the journey of reconciliation with Inuit. And it is critical to amplifying and empowering the voices of Inuit women, not only to decision makers, but also in the news and social media. To cite but 3 concrete examples, since signing the MOU in 2017, PAUC has, as you noted, Minister Miller, secured funding for the construction, operational, and programming of new Inuit-specific shelters for women and children fleeing violence. Sign an MOU with the RCMP to implement concrete measures to improve the safety of Inuit women when they come in contact with the police. Supported Inuit women and their communities through COVID-19 pandemic with the public education to reduce and spread of infections, and by facilitating temporary relief for Inuit families experiencing food insecurity. However, the unvarnished truth is that the progress to reduce barriers to participate in decision-making processes for Inuit women is very slow and piecemeal. While we are now invited to the decision-making rooms, most often we are still denied a seat, a vote at the tables. This is true at the community, regional, and national levels, where the capacity and talents of Inuit women and Inuit women's leadership to address critical challenges are too often diminished or untapped, as well the many contribution and achievement of Inuit women undervalued and unrecognized. All of these makes receiving the Women, Peace and Security Award today especially meaningful and uplifting for PAUC and Inuit women. And I think your question to me will be also a question to you about the UNDRIP.
You know, this is, and you've made this eminently clear, President Kulu, is we can't do this without doing it together, and without your organization, with its special advocacy voice above, the regional advocacy associations, land claims holders, making a clear voice for women. That's been made loud and clear, and it is with clear proof points that you've been able to demonstrate that. I remember the words that you offered to me with respect to a very delicate issue in and around keeping your people safe, ensuring food programs that were tailored to your community members, delivered by your people in your language. Same thing with vaccination, appropriate cultural vaccination plans and and people on the ground speaking in your language, in your dialect, for the particular region, and helping people and accompanying people making a decision whether to get vaccinated or not. And the proof is in the ability to protect people from a very unpredictable disease that has hit us for the last 2 years. And without your work, we could not have done it solely from the federal government's perspective. And I thank you for that. And tied into the long-term goals and the lens that we are now looking through, the many investments that the government of Canada has said so and evidenced in budgets, this plays into the relationship that you highlighted earlier in your answer, that has been evidenced in the memorandum that we signed in 2017. But those things we have to collectively breathe some life into and continue to work together on, and that is something that we have to do as part of the federal implementation of the Murder and Missing Indigenous Women federal pathway and its action plan, particularly in measuring outcomes. This government has made significant budgetary investments, over $2 billion, but measuring outcomes in terms of better lives, equal treatment is something that people are waiting for answers for, demanding answers for, and it's an issue of basic human rights. So the challenge that we face is measuring and deploying those with specific outcomes that are responsive to the calls to justice. And I know you're in your departing role, but your voice will not be forgotten, and I'm sure we'll be working together on that as well. I would use this final opportunity simply to ask you whether you feel there are any elements that where you feel you can hold us additionally to account in perhaps in pursuance of the memorandum that we signed, or in other forms as we continue on our relationship.
Okay, the implementation of UNDRIP and the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, as well as the MMIW National Action Plan, are historic opportunities to ensure Inuit women and gender diverse people enjoy the same quality of life standards and outcomes as other Canadians. What concrete actions will the government take to ensure Inuit women are full and equal partners in the implementation of both UNDRIP and MMIWG National Action Plan? And specifically, when you update the Prime Minister and communicate with Canadians about the progress being made to address these priorities, will you and your cabinet colleagues be reporting how gender-based analysis plus lens has been applied and to the deliverables in your mandate letters, and how this process has impacted outcomes?
Yes, and that will be a priority as we move forward. I can't assure you that we're there yet, but this is something that we are continuing to apply in all areas, even the ones that are obviously the ones that are clear, but also in other areas where that lens guides our action and frankly holds us to account. And so I appreciate that final point as well. President Kulu, thank you so much. And again, a quick moment to take a step back and congratulate you for all the work you've done and the well-deserved award.
Thank you.
Thanks to you both for letting us watch that conversation that you just had. Thanks, Minister Miller. Congratulations once again, President Kudlu. It's been a joy to get to meet you through this, and congratulations to all the members of Pauktutit. So now, but not least, let's return to our host, Minister Jolie, for our final awards of the day. Minister Abu.
Thank you, Jackie. And also, I thank you, President Kulu. It's great to have you with us today. Actually, it is an honor. And I think with all the folks that are watching us right now, and particularly with award recipients from all around the world, I think your message is and your example is very, very inspiring. So thank you so much. And also thank you for coping with my friend, Mark Miller. We received many outstanding nominations, and it was not an easy job for the selection committee. Let me highlight the achievements of our 3 shortlisted candidates. Gayan Hambardziumyan. Gayan is a human rights defender and feminist peace builder who works with local communities affected by the Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. And among her accomplishments is the creation of a women's center in her hometown of Chuchi. The center provides support to survivors of gender-based violence and raises awareness of women's human rights in a patriarchal and highly militarized context. The second one is the Somali Women Solidarity Organization. This is a women-led organization that promotes solidarity among women and increases their participation in peace-building processes in Somalia. Among its outstanding achievements is the establishment of the Women's Platform in Kismayo that spearheads peace initiatives in the area. And in 2018, the members of this platform successfully worked together to prevent the escalation of conflict between clans in the region. And finally, Berta Sonego is a young human rights defender and peace builder and a leader of the Civic Council of Popular and Indigenous Organizations of Honduras. She worked hard to ensure proper investigations into the murder of activist mother, which set a new legal milestone in ensuring accountability for violence and intimidation against human rights defenders and other activists. Now, the winner of the Civil Society Leadership Award in the international category, Tejido Mujer. So despite facing discrimination and attacks against its members, the brave woman behind Tejido Mujer continue their peaceful resistance to the armed conflict in Colombia. Their incredible work includes developing political training schools for indigenous women, helping to establish gender parity in the governing structures of the larger organization of indigenous communities, which they are part of, and creating a monitoring system for human rights violation against indigenous women. So, congratulations. Let me now introduce Regional Coordinator Joana Acosta, who has joined us today to accept the award. Encantada, Joana. Congratulations. Felicitaciones.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Queremos extenderles de parte de las mujeres indígenas del Cauca y quizás de Colombia un saludo de resistencia de todos nuestros procesos como mujeres indígenas, como mujeres que nos arraigan a la tierra y a este territorio colombiano. Es un honor para nosotras recibir este premio, pero más para llevar la voz de esas mujeres que están en nuestros territorios, esas mujeres que quizás han sido apagadas sus voces. Y quiero iniciar hoy este premio reconociendo la memoria y la historia de 3 mujeres lideresas indígenas que dieron su vida, que abonaron con su sangre la tierra en nuestro proceso de resistencia y participación política. Son 3 mujeres gobernadoras, autoridades que en su ejercicio de control territorial por la defensa de la vida dieron su vida. Quiero hacer memoria hoy de la compañera Cristina Bautista, autoridad del resguardo de Tacuello, que fue asesinada por los actores armados en un ejercicio de protección de la tierra, de protección de nuestra vida. Quiero hacer memoria hoy a la compañera Argenis Yatacue, autoridad de Corinto, que fue asesinada también en un ejercicio de control territorial. Ella y su compañero fueron vilmente asesinados, apagando su vida por un propósito que es como pueblo indígena, defender nuestra vida como mujeres y defender nuestro territorio. Y asimismo quiero resaltar hoy la vida y el ejercicio político que hizo nuestra compañera Sandra Liliana Peña, el resguardo de Caldono, una compañera que también hizo un ejercicio de control territorial de apoyo a nuestros procesos políticos, pero fue vilmente asesinada. A todas ellas, a esas mujeres que han dado su lucha, su propósito, a todas ellas este premio. Pero también a las mujeres que históricamente han estado en este proceso de resistencia, a nuestras mujeres indígenas de la Guardia, mujeres que hacen un ejercicio de control territorial todo el tiempo y que acompañan estos procesos. Históricamente hemos estado aquí defendiendo la vida, defendiendo esta tierra, y es a ellas a quien debemos este premio, este espacio de resistencia que decimos las mujeres. Y también a nuestras abuelas y a las ancestras que hicieron un trabajo antes, las que estuvieron antes en un ejercicio de recuperación de nuestros territorios, el ejercicio de liberación de la madre tierra. A todas esas mujeres que siembran la tierra, a todas ellas que abonan para que podamos tener frutos, y esos frutos hoy se ven acá, en unos procesos políticos como mujeres indígenas, en unos ejercicios de gobernabilidad dentro de nuestra propia estructura organizativa. Entonces, a todas esas mujeres que han hecho esos procesos organizativos, que se han formado en la organización indígena como la Asociación de Cabildos Indígenas del Norte del Cauca, la Changua, la Kiwe, y que aportan a la construcción de la paz, de esta paz como Colombia, como pueblos indígenas. Pero también quiero hoy extender mi saludo de resistencia a las otras hermanas mujeres que reciben este premio, a las mujeres de Canadá, a las mujeres de Irak y a las mujeres de Turquía, a esas mujeres porque juntas hacemos un proceso político de resistencia a nivel mundial, juntas avanzamos, juntas hacemos un proceso político para transformar esos procesos que nos han apocado políticamente. Entonces quiero resaltar esa fuerza, unir esa fuerza hoy de mujer indígena que nos arraiga a la tierra, unirme hacia ustedes y continuar esa fuerza que necesitamos para fortalecer estos procesos políticos como mujeres indígenas y como mujeres a nivel mundial.
Thank you, Joanna. Gracias. Obviously, the examples you just gave us of violence and discrimination that women face in your region, in Colombia, and around the world is exacerbated when in time of conflict. And you spoke very eloquently about it. How can countries like Canada protect women peace builders like you, Joanna, and your fellow workers and peace builders to make sure that you're not facing threats and violence? How can we do that?
Podría hacerse a través de fortalecer nuestros propios procesos que tenemos como mujeres indígenas, lo que nosotras venimos caminando y soñando, lo que nuestras mujeres anteriores han dejado para que caminemos. Nosotras como mujeres indígenas andamos en el camino de nuestras abuelas, entonces en ese caminar tenemos nuestros espacios como la formación política, nuestras escuelas de formación política que están todo el tiempo, pueden venir a fortalecer esos procesos de las escuelas de formación política, nuestros espacios de acompañamiento, que es concretamente la sanación de los saberes ancestrales, de nuestros saberes que tenemos como mujeres indígenas, el fortalecimiento de esos saberes, manejamos nuestra propia espiritualidad, manejamos nuestra propia ritualidad, fortalecer todos esos procesos en nuestras dinámicas propias, fortalecer todos nuestros procesos de incidencia política con las mismas autoridades indígenas, con nuestros propios gobiernos, pero también con las otras organismos institucionales a nivel colombiano, y fortalecer nuestros procesos a nivel comunicativo, visibilizar la situación que estamos viviendo los pueblos indígenas a través de los medios de la comunicación, la situación que estamos viviendo las mujeres indígenas, visibilizarlo a nivel mundial para que de alguna manera esta situación que estamos viviendo acá a nivel territorial se dé cuenta hacia afuera, que no ha sido fácil, pero que ustedes nos permitan comunicarla y transmitirla, tanto lo que tenemos fortalecido como lo que nos está pasando. Y fortalecer nuestro espacio de derechos humanos, que es el espacio del Observatorio del Tejido Mujer, un espacio donde nos reportamos todas las situaciones y casos que vienen sucediendo en las mujeres indígenas, y luego con eso reportamos y hacemos un informe donde es manejado desde la estrategia de incidencia a las autoridades y a los otros organismos del Estado. En sí es fortalecer todos nuestros procesos organizativos como mujeres indígenas para nosotras mismas fortalecer nuestra organización indígena propia a nivel del Cauca y a nivel de Colombia. Bueno, yo quisiera también compartirle a la ministra una pregunta, y es ¿cómo usted como ministra y como mujer puede abordar esas barreras que enfrentamos las mujeres y que enfrentamos las mujeres indígenas, que nos excluyen de estos procesos de toma de decisiones, que nos excluyen de estos procesos de participación política?
Well, thank you, Joanna. First and foremost, I would like to say that I'm very inspired by your words, by your story. And I would like also to thank AFSA, Muzna, Marcin, and all of you, because you're extremely inspiring. This feminist policy we have is relatively new. And from the moment we took the decision to go ahead and establish this feminist policy and eventually make sure that it would be a priority and appoint a fantastic ambassador such as Jackie, and eventually making sure that the funding would follow through and reach to all of you, it takes time. And it takes commitment, and it takes also a lot of leadership on the part of all the team that is behind this event, but also all the team that is within the Foreign Service of Canada. So I just would like to thank all of those that have been involved. We're not many countries in the world that have a feminist foreign policy. Sweden has one, we do have one, and Germany recently said that they wanted to go ahead with one. So good news, we're inspiring other countries. But meanwhile, we know that there is still discriminatory legislation around the world, and we know also that there's harmful social norms. But the world needs you. We all need you. Because this is how we can change one day at a time the misogyny and the discrimination that women are facing. And so it is not only a responsibility for the Foreign Affairs Minister in Canada. I take this as a duty towards all of you and a duty to people in Canada and the world. And so we must do this with an enormous amount of humility. We have to rely on your expertise. You know best what is happening in your region, in your country, and you know, we need to make sure that we are in listening mode as well, because women need to be heard, and we need to be there listening to them while they're expressing their thoughts and their emotions. Meanwhile, we need to make sure that women participation in decision-making process is much more a reflex. We want to make sure that there's more financial support to organizations that promote women's human rights. An example is also the fact that we have the Equality Fund and our Women's Voice and Leadership Program. And last year, we dedicated funding to support women's peace builders at the grassroots level. So we need to do more. We need to bring more diverse women from all walks of life involved in this. Please pass the word. It's important also that people in your region are aware of what is available to them. And that's how we will be able to make sure that every woman feels safe and has its space and place in our society. So last year we launched a campaign which is called Peace by Her, to recognize, support, protect, and include Women Peace Builder. And we'll continue to make sure that this work, spearheaded by Jackie, is really included in all the network of missions around the world. And so I really hope that this awards program and our conversation today was a good way to shine light on fantastic women with great personalities, resolve, and that you are empowered by the recognition that we just decided to provide you, because we believe in your potential. So thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Thanks so much, Minister. I love the word reflex. It's a great one. Let's get to a point where this inclusion is so obvious and so natural and just a reflex. So thank you. Y gran felicidades, Señora Costa. So as we wrap up, I want to thank all of our nominees and our finalists and winners today You are all now part of you're founding members actually of an amazing club, and that club is going to keep growing. We're just delighted to announce that next year's theme will be inclusive peace and security. So stay tuned for more information on that. But for now, please spare a thought for our dear colleagues on the selection committee, whose decisions next year are sure to be no easier than they were this year, and who we really thank very deeply on behalf of the Government of Canada for their time and their wisdom. Merci, Dr. Lebel, Ministre Miller, Ministre Joly. Merci à vous et à vos équipes fantastiques, et en particulier, peut-être que je pourrais dire nos collègues ici à PSOPS. Thanks to all our interpreters and the technicians who made it possible for us to be together. And finally, thanks to everyone watching. I'm going to ask all of our awardees and presenters to please stay on so we can take a hopefully dignified looking group photo. But to everyone else, merci et bonne journée. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Prenons une photo. Let's think of the minus 56 degrees that President Hoodloo is living. If we can all turn on our cameras, everyone who received an award. Nicolas, do we have everybody? And we can say cheese, women, peace and security, femme, paix et sécurité.
Okay, so everyone cheese now. Won't be long. And we're good. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, merci tout le monde. Bonne journée. Congratulations.
So much. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, ministers. Bye-bye.
Merci.
Bye.
You are all great, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks for sticking to time. It's a miracle. Really appreciate it.